Okay, I want to have a serious, kind of serious conversation. It's not too serious, but this is just a conversation to talk, not in judgment, because all of us are on the process of growing. So it's no shaming here if people still struggle with this, because some of us are still working on it, and some of us have moved further along than others. But this thing of us having to explain ourselves, especially to people who have proven not to even be productive in your lives, people who have proven not to be an ally to you, whether they're family, whether they're a certain group of men, okay, or whether they're people that you thought might have been your friends, just anybody. What is it about? And I feel like, let me get your opinions on this. I think because we are starting to live, and I say we're starting to because a lot of people are choosing to accept trash. But I think because narcissism appears to be increasing, I think you guys who understand, really know narcissism, you guys can talk more about this. I feel like there's a pressure to explain why you don't want to drink poison. Because I'm going to say this. I have to explain why. I don't want to drink something from a bottle that has a skull with the two bones with the cross. I got to explain to somebody why I don't want to drink that and kill myself. Okay? You got to explain why you don't want to drink that and kill yourself. Okay, so you got to explain. Let's just go to this certain group of men. I don't want to get on them too long because, I don't really care. I try not to bring them up, but I still see a lot of black women feeling like they have to explain themselves to other people. Now, this isn't, but that's not the only time we have felt like we had to explain ourselves to people. Some of us come from a family that's very abusive, emotionally, psychologically abusive. We might not be physically, but extremely psychologically abusive, where we have felt like we have to explain ourselves on a daily basis as if the person we are explaining ourselves to are so perfect. I want you to do this. The person who you keep explaining yourself to, and I say this to myself too, because I'm not going to be talking at nobody, because we all need to grow, okay? So I'm not talking at nobody. But what I want you to do, and I do it for myself too, is whoever it is that you keep trying to explain yourself to, I don't care if it's your mother, your brother, your sister, your friend who you think is your friend, your cousin, your uncle, black men, black women, whoever it is, white people, I don't care whoever it is. I want you, if you feel like you need to constantly explain yourself to me, please say what it is that they do for you that is so grand. What it is that they have done for you, or what they are currently doing for you that is so grand that you have to constantly explain yourself. Okay? Or show me their life. Show me a map or a blueprint of their life where you want to grow up and be just like them. You know how they say, I want to be just like Mike? Show me a blueprint of this person's life. The person that you have to keep explaining yourself to. What is the blueprint of their life to show that you need to be exactly like them? Because if I have to constantly explain myself to an individual, that means that they have the perfect life. Whatever they're doing is 100% correct, and I need to strive to be exactly like them. So show me where they are perfect in every way. Show me where they are perfect in every way. Okay? Now, you don't have to show me, but even when I felt like I've had to explain myself to people, right? We worry about what people think too much. And I do say we, because this is a human problem. This is a problem with humanity. And I feel like the reason why we feel like we have to constantly explain ourselves to people who are unworthy of an explanation is because of an increase of these energies of like narcissism. It's something about what's going on in the atmosphere that we know something is bad for us, but we have to explain why we won't eat dog shit. You think you too good to eat that dog shit? Because I'm going to tell you how we sound when we have to explain ourselves to people who don't do crap for us, that hurt us, that constantly put us down, that constantly tear us down. Now, if it's like somebody like your mother, somebody who raised you, I can see how that can be difficult. I can see how that's hard to let go now. So I'm not going to put that in the same category. That takes some time because that is a mother, possibly somebody who gave birth to you. That's a little harder. But I'm talking about random folks that you don't even doggone know. But sometimes a lot of that having to explain yourself to random folks comes from childhood. It could come from your household. From you having to constantly explain yourself to your mother or a father or some other family members. Sometimes that it could be that constant need to explain yourself could come from childhood. That could be where that comes from. Now I'm saying this as I go. I'm thinking as I go. But say it like this. Okay, let's think of a group of people who want to gaslight you into, shame you into tolerating their mess, putting up with them, loving them. A group of people want to shame you into loving them, knowing goodness well they have done nothing to deserve your love. And when you ask for anything, they want to point out everything that's wrong with you, but they don't want to fix what's wrong with them before they want to point out everything that's wrong with you. They don't want to get the log out of their own eye before they want to point out what's wrong with you, right? And that can go for women too, who might want to point out what's wrong with men. Basically, work on yourself, and if the man ain't got what you want, look the other way and go to a man who have what you want. If a certain group of men don't have what you want, then just go where you get what you want. You don't have to constantly tell this group of men to work on themselves. If they don't want to do it, move on. And so what is the need to say, well, if that's not what you want, that's just not what you want. But also men who, also the group of men who demand so much out of women, but don't really give women any type of incentive, they have nothing to offer the women, And so it's like this. Constantly listening to somebody who is wanting to shame you into tolerating their abuse. And you constantly feel compelled to explain why you don't want to tolerate their abuse. It's like you have to explain why you don't want to eat dog shit. I'm just saying. Now, this is just my opinion. You have to constantly explain why you don't want to eat dog shit. And you gaslit like, well, you think you better than that dog shit. So you think if you eat some regular food, you think that's going to be better for you. The grass ain't greener on the other side, so why not eat that dog shit? Why not drink out that toilet? You something wrong with the toilet water? Have you ever explained why you don't want to eat dog shit? Have you ever explained why you don't want to drink some pee out of a cup? Have you ever had to explain that? Has anybody gaslit you to say, drink this pee out of a cup? What's wrong with you? And I'm not talking about doing no Illuminati rituals either. I'm not talking about doing that either. Okay? But I say that to say that having to explain to anybody, whether it's a group of men who could be abusive, but gaslight you into loving them anyway, gaslight you into staying with them anyway, even though they don't do anything for you, okay, and are quite abusive, but gaslight you into loving them anyway. And this can go with family members because that's not the only place that happens. We just see it a lot all over the internet, But that's not the only place where that happens. That can happen in a home with your mother constantly wanting to blame you or your father. But there's a lot of times, especially in so-called black community, it's mostly mothers. Because a lot of times people you don't hear much about fathers, okay? So that's why I say the word mother so much when it comes to the so-called black community, because you don't really hear a lot about fathers. You know, it's not to put everything on the mother. It's just that you just hear more that there's a bigger presence with the mothers. Okay, good or bad, it's a bigger presence. Okay, so that's why I say, you know, the mother is, it's not to tear down the mother. It's just that there's a much bigger presence there, and so a lot of times that's going to be the topic. And so you know, whether it's the mother that want to gaslight you and to tolerate taking her baggage on, or anybody else that want to gaslight you into taking their baggage and taking all of their toxicity and absorbing all of their negative energy so they can release the weight off themselves. To me, it's equivalent to somebody gaslighting you into eating a pile of shit. Why don't you want to eat this pile of shit? Now, that sounds crazy, but I want you to explain to me why you won't eat this pile of shit. Okay? And if you think that sounds crazy, well, it sounds just as crazy to have to explain yourself to people who are abusive, and you have to constantly explain why you don't want to put up with their abuse. Okay, well, you know, if you feel like that you have to constantly explain why you don't want to put up with abuse, it's equivalent to saying, explaining why you don't want to eat a pile of shit. What's wrong with that pile of shit? Why won't you eat it? What's wrong with it? You think you're going to get better? You don't have any option but to eat that shit. That other food that you think is good ain't good for you. You don't have any other options but to eat that shit. So you better eat that shit. Okay? I'm saying this to myself too. You know it sounds dumb as hell, right? To be gaslit into eating a pile of shit. Now some people can get fancy because they health conscious and they say some people eat shit every day because this food is GMO. But that's not what I mean though. So I don't want to get too fancy in the health conscious and all that stuff. That's not what I mean. What I mean is that you visibly see a pile of shit on the ground. It could be human shit, it could be dog shit, it could be whatever shit, right? And so, just like you can know, some people don't realize it's unhealthy to deal with abuse, but the people who know it's unhealthy to tolerate so much abuse. Why would you be gaslit or allow yourself to be gaslit unless you locked under this person for some reason? You have to come into contact with them every day, so you locked into having to constantly be in their presence. But other than that, if you don't have to speak to them, talk to them, look at them, why do they have your attention when you have an option not to even talk to them? Okay? Not to even talk to them. You have an option not to even talk to them. Right? And if you have an option to not even talk to them, then why even allow them to gaslight you like that? Right? Why even allow them to gaslight you? I had to literally stop talking to just about everybody in my family except for maybe a couple of people that I speak to every once in a while, because nobody is going to talk to me when I see, especially in the spiritual realm, because a lot of people don't tell the truth. A lot of people do not tell the truth. So especially in the spiritual realm, I see some dangerous things could have happened had I gone back to my family and seen them again. I saw in the spiritual realm what would have happened to me had I gone back to them, and it wouldn't have been pretty, and it probably would have been, I probably wouldn't be here today speaking. I saw this in the spiritual realm, and I had to cut off family members. The reason why I had to cut them off is because I can't deal with people who don't understand it. If I'm getting warnings from myself If I'm getting warnings not to go or you might get killed, if you go over there, you ain't gonna come back. You're gonna die. Now your physical body might be going around somewhere, but you're gonna be gone. You're gonna be gone. Okay? Because my family was into certain things. Okay? And I already spiritually, I was warned not to go back to them. But I had to just completely never speak to my other family members again, because I could not allow them to gaslight me into doing something I knew would have got me killed. I could not allow them to gaslight me into doing something I knew would have gotten me killed, right? And so I just had to cut them off. I had to cut them off because they would have come up with all these little intellectual arguments on why I should put my life in danger. And so I say that to say that when a group of people or a person or a family member, doesn't matter who it is, it's because it's not to put in attention on a group of people who are abusive and tell you that you don't have anywhere else to go but to put up with them. Okay? It's like saying you have no other option but to eat this pile of shit that's on the ground, because the food that looks good on the shelf really ain't no better for you. You can't even get that food. You don't even have access to that food. You don't have a choice but to eat this shit that's on the ground. Okay? And they will find intellectual arguments, if they can, to try to tell you why you don't have no other choice but to eat that shit. But anyway, I will talk later. Okay.